Welcome back to Ferris Sports Update. Time to talk Bulldog Hockey, and with us, head coach Bob Daniels. Coach, first of all, welcome back to the show.
Good to be here.
I know a long road trip for your team, 13 or so hours on a bus to Minnesota State, and playing the same team that you had played a couple weekends before. Just talk about this past weekend, that long trip, and how you handled that.
Sure. Well, it wasn't too bad on the way out there. We left on Wednesday night, made it halfway, and then we practiced at the University of Wisconsin, which it was nice enough to let us use their facility. So we stayed in Madison, Wisconsin on Wednesday night, got up, had a good practice that morning. We prefer to do it that way than riding another 6 hours in the bus and then getting out and practicing. It's really difficult to do that. You don't get much out of it. So we contacted the University of Wisconsin, and they were kind enough to, we played them earlier in the year, and as long as they were able to watch our practice, their coaches, they said we could do it. So of course we let them watch. And then, so we were fine. The way back took a little bit out of us though, because we just load up the bus as soon as the second game's over. With 2 losses too, it doesn't make for a great ride home. And but we traveled through the night and got back in around 12:30, 1 o'clock on Sunday, and we would have normally made a little better time than that, but we ran into a little bit of a snowstorm en route. So but when you travel through the Midwest in this time of the year, you kind of expect that sort of thing.
We're certainly glad the Bulldogs made it back safely. You had that week off in between. Minnesota State didn't have that week off. Talk about how that impacted maybe the first game on Friday night.
Well, I don't think it had an impact. If anything, it probably would have gone to our favor. The difference between the 2 weekends when we played them here versus there is we were at home the first 2 and obviously on the road, and they had lost a very difficult game the weekend before on the Saturday night to Bemidji State in the Minnesota North Star Cup, if you will. They had beat Minnesota pretty handily the night before. Then they had gotten beat, so they were shot out of a cannon, and we got it seemed like any break that could go against us did on the Friday night game, and they jumped us early, and we're up 3-0. And you know what? I think at that point, though, when I was really proud of our guys, they kept battling, and we got it to 3-1 by the end of the period. We went into the third period down 3-1. Probably the only time I was really somewhat disappointed on the weekend was our third period play when they went up 4-1 on Friday night. I didn't think we finished that game the way we needed to.
As we go to some of the highlights from this past weekend at the Verizon Wireless Center, always difficult to play on the road. Great crowds on hand to watch Minnesota State host the Bulldogs.
Yeah, well, as you watch the highlights, it's really the Minnesota State highlights because we only had a couple goals on the weekend. And this is the first one we're going to watch here. They score 15 seconds into the game, and like I said, there was nothing CJ could do on that. He was screened, but. It was a tough environment. It was a tough weekend for us in terms of wins and losses. We did have some pretty good individual efforts, though. I thought, even though CJ gave up 10 on the weekend, I shouldn't say he gave up 10, they scored 10 on him. I thought he played very well. And I thought we're continuing to see some really good play out of Kyle Shump. He's now scored 5 goals in his last 6 games, and he looks like the player that we had a year ago as a freshman, and he's really done well.
Certainly a physical series on the weekend. You mentioned Kyle Shump with 4 goals here against Minnesota State in the last 4 games.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. Probably one of the stingiest teams in the country right now to score on, and one of the toughest teams to play against. I think they've fallen with the loss last weekend. I don't know what the polls haven't come out, but they'll be a top 2 team in the country at least going into the week this week. But for him to score 4 goals in 4 games against them really says a lot. When you can do it against a team of this nature, it really bodes well for the future.
When you see a team get off to a quick start like that, how much does it take out of your team as you try to rally back from a 3-goal deficit early?
Well, as I said before, I really thought we did a good job of rallying back. Here you'll see us score. Kyle Shump deflected in front. Buzzio puts it in, but the original shot had gone in, an original deflection. And I thought we came out really well after that. Like I said, the only time it was really tough is we had some chances early in the third to make it a 3-2 game. And when we didn't, and they scored the 4th goal, I really was disappointed. We didn't have any pushback from that moment forward on the Friday night game.
After the Friday night game, we'll come back on Saturday night and talk about Saturday night's contest. A little different, not quite of a quick start for Minnesota State on Saturday night.
Yeah, I remember saying to Mark Kaufman, our assistant, when we got to about the 32nd mark, I said, well, we got last night beat already. But again, though, we fell behind. going into the second period, we were down 3-1. But once again, we had a good chance, I thought, of coming back and maybe potentially coming away with a win or at least a tie. But it wasn't to be in the third period. And it wasn't. Once again, it was very physical, this game. And as we're going through the league right now, like last year when we won the title, we had some size in our senior class with Keene and Thompson and Huff and DiMartino. And we have some size in this year's team, but it really resides in our freshman class. And well, as I watch, I don't know that we have enough size to be to play in this conference the way we'd like to. So that's one of the things. It'll be nice next year when those freshmen have a little more experience. We can get them out there a little bit more. And then obviously we're going to look to bring a little bit more size because Minnesota State's a very big team, very physical. They're highly skilled. There's a reason they're number one in the country. But as we look at our team, we say, okay, what are the things we're going to need to do in a league where the officiating's a little bit more looser than, and they don't quite call it as tight, which is fine by me. We're going to need to get a little bit more size to be as successful as we want to be.
You mentioned those freshmen. Certainly nice to be getting those guys in the lineup and getting some experience here in their first year.
Yeah, well, we were fortunate. They played really well on Friday night as I was speaking to some of the positives, and I was able to play them regularly the whole night, and then again on Saturday. So they saw some really valuable minutes. I didn't shelter them at all. We just rolled them straight because we were on the road. The other team gets the last change, and so sometimes they had some pretty tough matchups against some pretty good players. I thought they did really well for us, and they added some physicality to the lineup that we need.
This weekend doesn't get any easier for the Bulldogs back on the road, and another top 10 team in Bowling Green to start a 4-game series this weekend in Ohio before you return home to Big Rapids to play them February 13th and 14th.
Well, we're looking forward to both weekends, certainly, and again, it'll be another test for our team because I don't know if there's much of a difference between Bowling Green and Minnesota State. There are probably some, I haven't had a chance to look at a tape yet, but they're another team that has a lot of size, a lot of older players, and a lot of skill. And because of that, hopefully we're somewhat prepared coming out of the last two series. But again, it'll make us a better team down the road. But we've got, this will be a difficult environment to play in, and it'll be another tough 2 games on the road.
Well, Coach, best of luck to the Bulldogs down in Ohio this weekend.
Thank you, Rob.
We'll be back with more Ferris Sports Update right after this.